Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Jocelyn. I see you. You're across the boardroom, but I could see you. I recognize your bookshelves.
Hi. Oh, goodness.
All right, we're just going to give everyone just maybe another few more minutes or a few more seconds here. Just a reminder to everyone just to remain on mute, just so there's no background noise at all. We are hybrid today, so we actually are located right now in Belleville, Ontario. All right, well, we'll just get started, and if anyone else comes on late, then I will let them in. But good morning, everyone. I am Brianna Ross, the Office and Events Coordinator for the Small Business Center, and we put on workshops like this every week, and this is all to help expand your knowledge, depending on whether you're starting up, expanding your business, whether you're purchasing or selling, or even just thinking about business. This is what we're here to do and here to help you out. So I am actually going to pass it over to Eileen Brown. She's the Business and Loans Advisor for Trendbell, and she has a few words she'd like to say.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this PARO's Peer Lending Circles. And we have Chantal Fraser to give you some strong information. So I'm with Trendbell. We're one of 61 local community futures in Ontario, and I'm pleased to be here and be of support to the entrepreneurial community and to women out there trying to develop and launch their business. So we actually first partnered up with PARO, I think it was in 2018. I believe the organization's been around for quite a bit longer, but we were very pleased to be assistive to them. And we also help to do some financing and support alongside of them. So a real purposeful partnership. Again, I'm very pleased to be here as a sponsor for PARO. And thank you very much. And I'll put it over to Chantal.
So I would like to introduce Chantal Fraser. She is the Business Growth Advisor for PARO Centre for Women's Enterprise, and she will chat for the next hour about an opportunity to learn more about the services of PARO. And they essentially offer support to women in Ontario, whether they're starting up their business or in the growth stage of their business. Welcome, Chantal.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us virtually and in person. I appreciate that. I have to admit that I've only been with PARO for 13 months, so I'm still relatively new to the organization. That being said, I participated in the information sessions that Trendbell and the Small Business Center brought to us in 2018, so I've known about PARO for quite some time. I'm honored to be on contract with PARO so that I can help women and non-binary people across the province learn how to start and grow their businesses. So I'm here today. I'm going to talk to you mostly about peer lending circles and a little bit of history and a little bit of some of the other things that we offer. Now, I think I clicked on that button. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so a little bit about us, and this is my imagination at play. I imagine that back in 1995, Rosalind Lockyer, our founder, gathered a bunch of like-minded people around her dining room table and said, we need to do something to help women entrepreneurs in the Thunder Bay area. That team pulled together and grew and grew and grew the services to cover all of Northern Ontario. And in 2018 or so, they moved down south, and now we cover all of the province of Ontario. There's about 40 of us on the team. About half are part-timers like me, where our role is specifically as business growth advisors to help you grow your businesses and start them if you haven't started yet. The other half are mostly full-time people who have a bunch of different roles. We have lending people as well that coordinate with our partners. And we have counselors who do this full-time, 5 days a week. They're helping people learn their businesses. Okay, next slide, please. We are based on the concept of the peer lending circles. That's our bread and butter. We have 210 or so PARO circles across the province. We are the biggest peer lending organization in North America. And each group in each circle is a group of 4 to 7 women who work together to provide each other support, to provide a sounding board, a community, if you will, to help each other. Now, a lot of people just want to talk about the money. I started talking with the community because that's as important, if not more important than the money. Knowing that there's somebody you can share your concerns about with your business or ask for feedback is as important as getting that money. And being able to brainstorm with your circle is really valuable. I've seen it in action. It's amazing. There's somebody new. There are financial parts that I'm going to talk to you about because I know that's where people are what people are really interested in. So I'll talk about that as well. So if you could click to the next slide, please. All right, the peer lending circles offer micro loans. So a micro loan is a $500 loan and it goes up to about $5,000 right now. These loans help entrepreneurs who are just starting out or who've had their business for a while and just need some extra cash to get a new project happening. So they're there for that purpose. There's some things that have to be happening in order to have a circle. All of the members of the circle have to own at least 51% of their business because it's a woman-led business, or you can be non-binary as well. We welcome non-binary people. But the idea is for women and non-binary people to work together. So the company has to be owned by the person who belongs to the circle. There's the peer support that I talked a bit about, and you're going to get a copy of the slides if you want. So that's good. And like I said, it's really that cooperation and working together that makes the circle so special. You could go next slide, please. These are some examples of peer circles. They're small groups, 4 to 7 women maximum. And generally, in the past, the women were all located in the same community. With the pandemic, things opened up. So we now have virtual circles as well, where women are from different communities. And it's women helping women. Now, you can be in the same community and be in the same circle, but normally you're not in the same family. So if you had a mom and an aunt and 2 sisters who each had their own businesses and wanted to form a circle, unless you're in a First Nations, Inuit, or Métis community, that's not allowed, because the idea is to expand your network and learn from more people. So that is a restriction. Okay, next, please. So 4 to 7 women, small group, like I said, you're assigned a counselor. Now, in some cases, that's somebody like me. In other cases, it's one of the full-time people. So somebody from PARO will help you start your circle. We don't take the lead, though. We expect somebody from within your group to take the lead, to be the spokesperson for the circle, right? So we'll meet with you, and in my case, virtually, most of the time, and we'll help you, guide you through how to do the forms, because there's always forms when you're forming a group, especially when we're starting to talk about money. At least 2 people need to be geographically close enough to each other so that they can become treasurers and sign the appropriate paperwork. And in the case of the Bay of Quinte, we work very closely with Trendval, who are our assigned lending partner. We have lending partners all across the province, so it's okay. You don't have to be in the Bay of Quinte to get into this, all right? And we expect our circles to meet once a month. Now, that can be virtually or that can be in person. And we understand that sometimes in the summer, you don't meet. Next, please. This is a weird map, but it gives you an idea of where we covered. And someday we'll get it figured out and changed. Just so you know, the Bay of Quinte region is in Hub 9 along with Ottawa. Hub 10 is basically just past Quinte West all the way to Toronto, and then when you hit the GTA, it's in Hub 11, and that covers Hamilton in that as well. And then, you know, we spread up north. You can tell by the numbering system who was first to be part of PARO. So as areas were added, they were given the next highest number. Next slide, please. Okay, so key benefits. You get access to microfinancing, grants and loans, and I'll cover those numbers in a few minutes. If you don't have a credit rating or your credit rating is questionable and you're trying to improve it, getting a loan through a PARO Circle will, assuming you pay, and 99% of our members pay, that will help your credit rating. So it is counted against your personal or business credit rating, all right? There's special access to a bunch of different programs, reduced rates for events when we're holding events in person. Most of our events that are online are free. You can belong to a group of like-minded women across the province who are also trying to start and grow their businesses. And we have this fantastic resource. I've been in business for almost 10 years. Like I said, I joined just over a year ago with PARO. When I looked at the PARO GoForth training, it's an online, basically it's an online boot camp on demand that you can do at your pace, that has videos for those who like to learn by video, and about 700 pages of content to teach you how to do everything from who should be helping advise you when you start your business, to how to hire people, to how you do your marketing. It's got everything. So because my background's human resources, the first chapter I read was how to hire people. And it was like, yep, this is perfect. It's really a great resource. So if you like reading, there's lots of content. Now, 700 pages might sound daunting, but that's because it was built as a workbook. So there's room to jot down your ideas in the workbook if you'd like to do that. Okay, and another added bonus, if you've been looking to get some board experience, only PARO Circle members are eligible to be on the PARO board. So that's a good volunteer experience that some people are interested in. Next, please. So how do you become a member? It's pretty straightforward. You find at least 3 other women to a maximum of 6 other women that you would like to communicate with on a regular basis, meet with about once a month through the year, and talk about your business with, all right? You can form your own circle from scratch, and from talking to my colleagues who work with PARO, they say that the best method is often to get 2 people, 2 different business owners who really enjoy working with each other and would like to form a circle, and get them to each invite a friend or somebody they know, because there's chances that if they get along, their friends will get along, and it will be compatible to make a circle. Most of our circles start that way, and most of our members join that way. They create a circle from scratch. There are a few existing circles that are accepting other members to join. However, it's not the usual path. It's very rare that somebody will join an existing circle. Normally that only happens if the circle loses a member or 2 and they need to have some members join to keep their numbers up. Thank you. Next slide. All right, there's a whole bunch of steps here. I'm not going to read out each one to you. I'll just give you a broad brushstrokes idea of how this works, because you are going to get a copy of the slides. And if you choose to form a circle, you're going to get guidance from me or one of my colleagues to help you go through this process. First thing, finding those 3 to 6 other women that you're willing to work with, or non-binary people too, you know, we're accepting of that. Get that group. Just make sure that you're going to actually be able to collaborate well. If you have personality difficulties when you're trying to figure out what you're going to name your group, then perhaps that's not the right group. Okay, so just feel it out, make sure you're going to be able to work together. The hardest part that I've seen in my last year and a bit is finding the name, because some people, okay, a name is really important, and I know you're laughing, but it's true. A name is really important, and a lot of groups have a hard time agreeing on the name. I'm serious. And sorry. So if you can't pick a name, then you can't do the paperwork, then you can't get formed. So it can take 2 and 3 and 6 months of meeting just to figure out what you're going to call yourself. I recently attended a meeting where There was 4 women that were brought together by one of my colleagues, and I sat in so I could see how the process worked. And they sat around the table. There's 4 of them. One of them is ex-military like me. And she said, 1, 2, 3, 4, square circle. And the other 3 laughed and said, yeah, that's our name. Boom. It was the fastest probably name application ever made within PARO's history. They figured it out in 15 minutes. Most groups take longer. Once you've got your name, we have to get your name approved to make sure you're not using the same name that another group has used. And then there's paperwork to fill out, there's banking to do. So these are all steps you have to go through. Next, please. Okay. There are bylaws that have to be signed because you have to agree to these, like whenever you're doing a formal agreement and money's involved, you have to have some paperwork. So there's the filling out all these forms, opening your bank account or your credit union account. And the idea is that in this common bank account where you've got 2 treasurers, what you have is enough funding to pay the monthly payment that's due on each loan that your circle has out right now. So that is a little bit of a protection so that somebody doesn't default on their loan. So in a perfect world, the woman who has the loan makes the payments, but if something happens and she needs help, she can reach out to her circle and say, I need help this month. And then the circle will say, right, PARO, take the money from our account, or the lending partner, take the money from our account, we'll replenish that and she'll pay us back and it's good. And like I said, we have 99% repayment, probably a bit higher than that, but it's hard to get into the little sections of a percent. So we'll say 99% repayment. And part of that, it's been found with any organization that loans money out this way in microfinancing, when you know that you're responsible to a group of people that you like to talk to and that you like to spend time with, you're more likely to actually make your payments, okay? Okay, and there is an annual circle membership fee of $20. That's just to help us with the cost of doing all the paperwork. Next, please. Oh, and I just talked about the emergency fund. I was so excited. I just explained all of this so we can move on. All right. Joining an existing circle very, very rarely happens. So we're going to just move on to the next slide. You can read about it if you want. Are there any questions at this time? And Brianna's going to get open up the chat so we can see if there's any questions in the chat, or you can turn on your mic and ask a question.
Yes, we've got a small group, so if you wish to turn on your mic, you're more than welcome to do so. This is recorded, so if you want to just throw it in the chat, if you don't want to be on YouTube. Give you guys a couple minutes, and then we'll move on.
I can't quite focus on that. Is that a question or?
No, it's
Just
just
thank you. Okay.
yes.
Okay, great. If a question comes to you and you want to ask it, feel free just to, put a hand up or something, and Brianna will notice and we'll stop and answer that question. Okay, so we'll move on. Just looking at where I'm at with my notes. Okay. Oh yeah, all right. My notes are black and white, so they don't quite look the same as what we've got there. We have loans. The first level loan is $500. The second level loan is $1,000, and then the third level is $5,000. And the approval comes within the circle. So, and everybody has to start at level 1. You can't skip right to 5,000. You have to start at $500 loan. And there's a purpose behind that. Everything PARO does has a purpose. So when you start with a $500 loan and it's approved by your circle, then the paperwork is put up and to our lending partner, and our lending partner goes through and makes that happen. You have 9 months to pay back that $500 loan. You can, if you choose to do so, pay back that loan in only 6 months, but you can't pay it back before 6 months. And the reason is, and this is where PARO's working, there's always a reason behind why we do things, is by making you take at least 6 months to pay back that loan, we're helping people understand cash flow and understanding the importance of having money coming in so that you can pay the requirements that you have to go out, such as loans or whatever else you have that you have to pay. So it's to help people understand the process of cash flow. While you've got your loan, you get encouragement from your team and your PARO representative Yeah, and that's basically how it works, right? Next. Okay, so to get the $500 loan, that's pretty much basic. You also get, when you're a Circle member, you also get a grant. I'm going to talk Southern Ontario because Northern Ontario has a slightly different process, but in Southern Ontario, it's a grant. So you get a $500 loan and a $500 grant. And for those of you who don't know, what a grant is money you don't have to pay back. So it's like, yay, we're really excited to have you. We want to teach you about cash flow. We want you to pay back this part of the money we're going to give you. But we also want to give you a thank you and encouragement. Here's some cash to help you do what you want to do with your business that you don't have to pay back. So it's 500 to 500. And you have to have the approval from your circles to get that. And there's some stuff about after-tax net income that you can read through after the fact. But basically, everybody gets it. Okay, next, please. So I talked about the 500 and the 500. So in Southern Ontario, it's not non-repayable, it's a grant and a $500 loan. The payments are about $60 a month. And we say that the rate is 10% or less. It's often less, but it changes between lending partners. That's why we don't specify an exact amount. And it changes as prime rate changes and all that stuff. Second stage, after you've paid back first stage, is to go to $1,000 loan and $1,000 grant. Again, you've got 9 months to pay back the loan. Payments are about $120 a month. Excuse me. I need a sip of tea. And it's the same thing about the cash flow, getting understand that. Once you've paid back the second stage loan, then you can go to the third stage for $3,000 over 27 months, again at about $120 a month. And then the fourth stage jumps up to $5,000 over 27 months for $220 a month. So it's, it takes time. Now it takes, if you do the math and figure out, okay, I apply and I get approved and I get the money and then I pay back over 6 to 9 months and then I go through this again, it takes you about 5 years to get from your first stage to your fourth stage. And there are other ways of finding money. So you don't necessarily have to expect all of your cash and your loans to come out of your PARO Circle, because there's banks and there's BDC and there's your Trendval or your other community futures organizations that may do other loans for bigger amounts. There's grants that are out there, and your PARO business growth advisor or counselor can help guide you to find some of those grants and loans that you might want to do if you need more money more quickly. So these are the stages. Next, please. Okay, so this talks about the time when paperwork gets processed, just to give you an idea. Okay, so at the beginning of a month, the circle decides who's going to get money if they have room. I will tell you now, only half of the circle can get loans when you first form, because the idea is they want to make sure everybody's going to pay it back and develop that camaraderie so that they're supporting each other. So only 2 out of the 4 or 3 out of the 7 get loans at the beginning. Excuse me. When I give talks in my office, I have my cup of tea right next to me so that I can sip as I go. Okay, so you decide in your circle who you want to get those loans. Then you put the paperwork through by the middle of the month so that it can be approved. It can go to the board by about the 3rd week of the month. And then by the end of the month, the lender knows about it. And then a couple of days after it's approved, the money shows up in your bank account, assuming you've done all your paperwork and handed in your information. And then, you carry on, right? So it's fairly straightforward, but it takes time, which is why, don't expect the money to be right there. It's going to take you at least a month after your circle's formed before you get any cash in your bank account. Next, please. There's a whole bunch of forms and things to do. So you need to let PARO know where your bank account is and show us that you've got a bank account or an account with a credit union. Cash flow projections are something that your business growth advisor or counselor can help you work through if you haven't done it. And I'll give you a hint, that free PARO GoForth learning program about the business has great cash flow projection information within it with templates that you can actually practice doing it with examples. So we will help you, okay? We won't do it for you, because part of learning how to run your business is being able to do it yourself or get to the stage where you can hire people to do it for you. But we will guide you through that as you start. You have to pay your fees. There is a loan application fee. And again, this is just payable to cover the administrative costs and consent forms, void check or personal banking information so the money can show up. So it's fairly straightforward, but there's a bit of paperwork. Next, please. Okay, so there is a monthly opportunity to meet people within PARO who are looking to join a circle. It's generally the last Thursday of the month at it's at 4:30 Eastern time, because not all of Ontario is in Eastern time. It's at 4:30 in Zoom. It's announced on our Facebook page. It's announced in the PARO newsletter that comes out at the beginning of each month. It's, you know, if you're wondering, there's a person you can email to find information. Your business growth advisor, your counselor can let you know when it is. So you can network with women that you meet in these groups and decide if you've got a group that you might get along, you have similar interests or similar industries. We have a few circles that are based around industries, particularly the food industry. We've got some for fashion, we've got some for creatives, we've got some for people who are in tech. You know, basically you can find people according to your industry, or you can find people according to your area. So when it says network, it's basically finding those at least 3 other people that you want to meet with on a monthly basis so that you can join a circle. And your BGA or your counselor can help you out. Yeah, next, please. So this is a quote. I come from Quinte West, and this is a quote that our mayor uses often, and it was kind of fun to see it in the PARO presentation. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. The PARO circles really help you go far with others. That circle that I attended, the Square Circle meeting that I attended, the business owners are partnering together now, and it just brings joy to my heart to see this, because I follow them all on social media. They're partnering and holding events at each other's locations to promote their businesses together, right? And it's I don't know if you can see because I'm a tiny little square, but I've got a huge grin on my face just thinking about what the Square Circle is doing. Okay, so really it does work. Next, please. So it says 180 plus circles. We're actually over 210 now. And these are several of the previous winners. Every year, PARO has an award ceremony in the spring, and we haven't updated the slide to put the 2021 or 2022 winners on there. The 2022 winners, actually one of the women on that circle is now my client, because we met through one of the PARO programs and she wanted to work with me. So as a PARO business growth advisor, she's my client. So they do wonderful things in this circle. It's up around the Manitoulin Island area, and they have a variety of different businesses, and they all know each other because they're in the same geographic area.
We have Lisa here that's raised her hand.
Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
Hi there. I'm just wondering, are any of the businesswomen downtown Trenton, have they started a circle?
The women that I know for the Square Circle are based around Quinte West. They're not downtown Trenton. There is another circle that's a lot of women from downtown Trenton. Brandy Ringelman, Calvert Ringelman from Off the Hook, and these 4 walls. She's a member of a very active and successful circle in downtown Trenton.
Okay.
And I think Jenny Chandler, who's another business growth advisor, is also a member of that circle. So there are some circles already in existence. I don't know if they have any spots, because although there's room for 7, if you wanted to join, say, the Square Circle, which is Quinte West area, You'd have to meet with the members of who are already part of that circle and make sure that you all get along, right?
Okay, can I ask who Jenny is? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Jenny Chandler is another business growth advisor. Her company is called Simple Desk. And she provides virtual assistant services to people, I think pretty much across North America now. She has a team.
Yeah,
and-
sorry, I didn't recognize the name. Sorry, I know who she is.
Okay, great. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's actually working out of her house now, not downtown.
Yeah, but
Wanted to know if somebody approached me that I could send them to, obviously Brandy now for more information as well.
yeah, well, you can have somebody talk to somebody downtown, or you could have somebody who's interested talk to somebody who's working with PARO.
Yeah,
Right?
no, yeah, I understand that as well. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
And then we have another question here in the chat. You mentioned on the Facebook page, I found a group, not a page. She gave us a link. Is this the one that you're referencing? I found the page. It does not mention Circle Up.
Okay. One of the joys of working with PARO is we've got so many things on the go that sometimes our social media doesn't keep up with the events that are coming. So often the events get announced a week before they're happening. But it's pretty much, it's the last Thursday of the month. And I know for August and September, it's the last Thursday of the month because, well, PARO sends out a newsletter, but for my 60 or so PARO clients, I send out a newsletter to my clients as well. And I told them the dates for the next two. So I know that the last Thursday in August and the last Thursday in September are at 4:30. So it's, they will be announced there and
On the website?
on the Facebook page. They'll also be on the website, on our PARO website. There's an events tab that you can go to and it lists all the events. And I'll make sure to send it to Brianna so she can share it with everybody who attended.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely do that.
Yeah, yeah, and there's something else just I think came up in the chat.
Found Simple Desk and Jenny Chandler. Yeah,
That's gotta be Jocelyn doing that.
I think so.
Yep. Yeah. Okay,
Yes, it is.
all right, so let's go to the next slide. There haven't been a lot of questions. So I'm just leaving this contact information up here. Like I said, you can get a copy. Brianna's gonna send out a copy of the slides. This is where our headquarters is and our satellite offices. So we have offices, we have one in Belleville. I've never been, pandemic, so I just work out of my home office. And if you go to the last slide, it has my PARO contact information. That's my PARO email, businessgrowth16@paro.ca. So you can reach out and connect with me if you have questions about circles. You can reach out to Nefri, our circles coordinator at the Thunder Bay head office. Her email is there, circles@paro.ca. And Andrea runs our Circle Ups. I can't remember her email off the top of my head, but like I said, I'll share that with Brianna after the fact. So now we can open up the table to discussion.
I'm just gonna stop recording. Just so.
That's a great idea. To stop recording, then people can ask the questions they really want to ask.